Okay, my watch says noontime.
Is that good?
I want to thank you all for coming out. I know it's a difficult day. I know it's a difficult time. The town does have to do its business. We had no choice. We've done the best we can, I hope. Given that we have a zero quorum and I see that we have people here, I will now call the meeting to order and open the meeting. The clerk has assured me that, and I have double-checked, the warrant has been posted. It's been duly posted, legally posted. I am going to waive the reading of the warrant in all the motions. I just want to get through this as quickly as we can. All of our prior town meetings and all the rules that we follow for those are in place. I'm just not going to go through them. I want to get you out of here and home safe and out of the chill and the cold. To my left, we have, my mind went so blank. Attorney Bowen, our town administrator, Derek, our selectman, Peter Teitelbaum, and then chairman of the finance, Bernie Pigeon. So we are going to go right to all of the warrant articles. What we've done this time, because we don't have a screen to put things on that you'd be able to see, you have a handout. If you follow that handout, that's what we're going to follow. You should be able to follow along as to what we're doing. In order to expedite things, I have put articles into two different consent agendas. The first consent agenda is agenda number 1 if you want to open your handout. The articles that are in this consent agenda are all articles that come up every fall. There's usually never a question on them, so we can go through them and then take a vote on all of them. So the first one in the consent agenda is Article 3. This is prior year bills, and there are none. The second in the consent agenda is PEG access receipts to Wareham Community TV. This is a housekeeping article that monies get paid from Comcast and Verizon to the town, and the money is transferred out to WCTV. Article 10 will be the transfer of the John William Deacon School to the Board of Selectmen, so that once the new school opens, the Deacon School will come under the custody of the town. Article 11 is the transfer of McKinney-Vento funds. This is funding that the state provides to the town for transportation to homeless students that are housed elsewhere and are brought back for school. Article 16 is the Tremont Nail Remediation Project. This is a payment for the cleanup of the Tremont Nail. We made one payment last year. This is in the next payment. Again, we have to do it. There's no choice. Article 17 is community preservation reserves. Community preservation is required to allocate funds for historic preservation and affordable housing. They had some extra money coming in, so this is just to rejuvenate and make an adjustment to those two accounts. And Article 23 is the revolving account, which has been in place for years, just to allow for more monies to be put in when and if we get into trash. So I will accept a motion from Mr. Pigeon to move the consent agenda.
Consent agenda 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes unanimously. The second consent agenda, these are all the articles that had no financial monies in them at all, that we are not going to take up, we are not going to discuss. The selectmen did draw up a letter to me as to what we would take up and that we would only take up financial articles. So in consent agenda number 2 are Articles 6, which is would have been a gift of land from Eleanor Ellicone Trust. Article 7, a gift of land from the Paul Volpe estate. Article 8 would have been a zoning bylaw for signs. Article 9 would have been a drive-through in the commercial district. Article 12 would have been an amendment to the bylaw for setbacks for marijuana testing. Article 13 was an amendment for the zoning bylaw for residential use definitions. Article 15, Wareham Village 1 zoning. Article 19, amendments to the town charter. Article 20, amendments to the town charter. Article 21, town meeting endorsement of the master plan. Article 24, the naming of the school. And Article 25 was a citizen's petition. These will all be brought back in the spring. So I will ask for a motion on consent agenda on all of those articles, and because they were legally posted in the warrant, we do have to take some action on it, so we're going to make a motion to take no action. May I have a motion, Mr. Pigeon?
Madam Moderator, move consent agenda 2 approval for the items not taken up at today's meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes by a majority. So now we're going to move into the articles that we will be taking up. We will be taking up Articles 1, 2, 5, 14, 18, and 22. So we will move to Article number 1. Article number 1 is to approve and fund the capital plan. To speak to the article, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We get certified free cash every year. It's the leftover amount, if you will, from the prior year appropriations. So what we put out there for our expenditures and the additional revenue. Last year, we started about March when we saw, when we had the coronavirus started. We stopped expenditures. We put a freeze on that, and we did not spend the final free cash. So that helped us roll over about $1.3 million. Upon doing that, that helped us boost this year's certified free cash. So this is not a number we'll see every year. So what was certified this year was $4,180,163. And I'll go through this explanation because it will help with the next article too. What we plan to do upon your approval is to transfer $1.2 million into our stabilization fund. That stabilization fund is what's helped us have our incredible bond rating just shy of AAA, and has reduced the borrowing for things like the school that has saved us millions. The next is the solid waste startup, putting $200,000 aside as a buffer for starting up the solid waste operations. That's going to be the town's total obligation. The next would be to transfer to the Plymouth County Other Post-Employment Benefits Trust Fund, or OPEB fund. We've been doing this every year for the last few years. That's set up, and that is a $300,000 transfer. Also, the next one is to transfer $300,000 to the unemployment line. Well, it's not really a line, it's a separate article. Probably some may not remember, but last year, well, for this year's budget, we actually took it out of the budget and started paying it through free cash to make sure that we had more money in the budget to provide to the departments. With COVID, we've expended about $180,000 of the money we put before. It was actually over $300,000, but we were reimbursed from the CARES Act for a portion of that. So we need to put more money in there, because right now with everything going on, unemployment is running between $30,000 and $40,000 a month, and we don't know if the CARES Act will continue past December 31st. After that, it will be a transfer to the school department in the amount of $500,000 from the free cash. And we understand all the additional obligations that they have currently, and we're trying to help them make sure that they have the funds they need to secure have a safe, secure environment and what they're going through with COVID-19. After that, we do a snow and ice holdover. Snow and ice is the only budget you're allowed to legally go into deficit, but we always set some money aside. We've had 2 years that were great if you were, for us, not so good if you're a snowplow driver, but great where we didn't expend that much, but we always hold money aside. And the next is we always roll over a set amount to the next year. So once we went through that list, it left $480,163 for capital items. And the capital items, if you look on page 12, are to purchase and equip one front-end loader for $285,000. The LED street lights upgrades, we didn't do that last year when we usually would have in the spring, so that's just catching up. The electric vehicles, the Chevy Bolts that you see, their lease is up. So we're looking to lease 4 of those, including 1 for the school department. And this isn't the whole cost of $24,500. We get an additional $20,000 from the Commonwealth as a grant to offset the total cost. And then $98,500 for the police department, which is for ballistic vests, tasers, radio upgrades, and to purchase and equip 1 UTV. So that's totals $458,000. So that left $22,163. So the remaining balance of free cash is $1.2 million and $22,163. So.
Mr. Sullivan, do you want us to take Article 2 first and then come back to Article 1?
It doesn't really matter. We can I just figured so people could know both of them. I think we could probably just shoot right into 2 after that.
Okay, then we'll take up Article 1. Article 1 is to approve and fund the capital plan, which are all of those things, the front-end loader, the street light upgrades, the lease and all costs for electric vehicles, and the ballistic vests and things for the police department. Mr. Pidgeon, may I have a motion?
I move that the town vote to transfer $458,000 from certified free cash to fund and approve the fall 2020 capital plan as read. Line A, purchase and equip 1 front-end loader, cost of $285,000. Sources free cash, department's municipal maintenance. Line B is LED street light upgrades, cost $50,000. Sources free cash, department is municipal maintenance. Line C, lease and all costs related to 4 electric vehicles at $24,500. Sources free cash, and department is 3 for municipal maintenance and 1 for school department. And line D is ballistic vests, tasers, radio upgrades, and purchase and equip 1 UTV. Cost is $98,500. Sources free cash, department responsible is police.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there anything further to be said on Article 1? Seeing no one standing, I now will call for a vote. This requires majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It passes unanimously. Article 2. Article 2 is the transfer of free cash that Mr. Sullivan just went through with you. Anything further to be said, Mr. Sullivan, on Article 2? No. I'll ask for a motion from Mr. Pidgeon.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $2,500,000 from certified free cash as follows. Stabilization Fund, $1,200,000, spending authority town meeting. Plymouth County OPEB, $300,000, spending authority town meeting. Unemployment article, amount $300,000, town administration and human resources of spending authority. Solid waste startup, $200,000. Spending authority, town administrator and director of municipal maintenance. School department, $500,000. Spending authority, superintendent. Total of $2,500,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on Article 2. Is there anything further to be said on Article 2? Seeing no one, I now will call for a vote on Article 2. It requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Passes unanimously. Article 5. Article 5 is the union contracts. To speak to the article, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We are taking up just the A section, the Wareham superior officers. We were unable to settle in time with Unit B. So this is we've come to an agreement with them. It gets ratified. The funding for this comes out of an article that we had in the past. We've got an offset for collective bargaining, and it is a 3-year agreement with the superior officers. The superior officers are the lieutenants of the police department.
Thank you. Mr. Pidgeot, may I have a motion on Article 5?
I move that the town vote to approve and fund collective bargaining agreement between the town of Wareham and the Wareham superior officers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on Article 5, union contracts. Is there anything further to be said? This only requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Article 14. Article 14 is the Harbor Services Permit Receipts Reserved for Appropriation Account. To speak to the article?
Thank you. There's in the Harbor Service Permits Receipts Reserved for Appropriation account, there's currently $220,715.40. So if this article is passed at a cost of $88,000, it'll leave $132,715.40. And these are appropriate uses out of the Harbor Service funds, so which receives funds from the mooring fees and such as that. So it makes sense to go back into the department.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Pidgeot, may I have a motion, please?
Yes, Madam Moderator. I move that the town will authorize under General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 21C, upon the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen, a lease purchase financing agreement for the acquisition of 2 marine outboard engines and related equipment that may be acquired through the issuance of debt under General Laws, Chapter 44, the term of such agreement not to exceed 3 years, the useful life of the equipment as determined by the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator shall be authorized to enter into such agreement on behalf of the town, subject to the approval of an appropriation for the first year's payments, and further that the town transfer the sum of $88,000 from the Harbor Services Permits Receipts Received for Appropriations account to be transferred to the Harbor Master's Maintenance and Improvements account to pay for the first year payment, equipment, and installation cost of the 2 marine outboard motors and the payment of the bond anticipated note for the previously authorized onset floating dock project.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there anything further to be said on Article 14? Seeing no one, I will now call for a vote. This requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Article 18. Article 18 is the Wareham Pollution Control Facility use of state revolving funds. To speak to the article, I am going to offer courtesy of the floor to Mr. Kleekamp, who is the engineer of this project, to explain this project to you. Mr. Kleekamp?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Moderator, and thank you to the residents of Wareham for coming out during these conditions. It's much appreciated. My name is Russ Kleekamp. I'm an engineer with the company GHD. We're working alongside with the Water Pollution Control Facility to do some necessary upgrades to the treatment facility. The article for the funding up to $9 million includes 2 major projects. One of them is the installation of additional denitrification filters. And the second major project is the odor control improvements. Under current industry standards, water pollution control facilities are required to have redundant, redundant denitrification filters, which the Wareham facility does not have. And what's happening now is, under certain conditions, the plant malfunctions when it gets too high of a flow, too many solids, things like that. So we're looking to put in a redundant set of denitrification filters. And then also for the odor control, we're looking to cover the existing lagoons to help capture and treat those odors. The way the funding process works through the state is you have to request up to a certain amount of funding, which is the $9 million. In all likelihood, the projects will come in underneath that, but we have to make an appropriation to cover the estimated amount of construction. So with that, I'll hopefully answer any questions. Yes, sir.
No questions? Thank you. May I have a motion on Article 18, please? Oh, I'm sorry. We need a mic. For them to be able to pick it up, we'll bring you a mic.
Thank you. Will this have anything to do with additional capacity?
No, this will not.
Thank you. On my left to the rear.
Can I say we're still waiting for funding?
Thanks. Hi, I was just wondering.
All right, please state your name for the record.
Sorry, Lori Benson from Onset. I was just wondering if this odor reduction is going to also include the pump houses, which I live across the street from one, and it stinks. I hope it does.
To answer the question only.
I'm getting my steps in today.
So the odor evaluation project, as part of treating these odors, we look to do two things. Is one, to help capture and treat the odors at the physical treatment facility. But to answer your specific question regarding the pump stations, is we are also evaluating chemical additions to the pump stations, which help break down those hydrogen sulfide odors. So we are currently evaluating that. We haven't made a final decision, but we understand it's a high priority, and we likely will be making improvements to the pump stations through chemical additions.
Thank you. Is there anything further to be said on Article 18? If not, I will call for a vote. Because this is a borrowing article, it does require a 2/3 vote. I will try for unanimous. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Article 22, to establish a solid waste and recycling fee and bylaw. To speak to the article?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. If you look at page 16, that's Appendix A, which is the bylaw, but I'm going to try and give just a little more background on the what's happening with trash. So to rewind, the agreement with CMAS is ending on December 31st of this year, which means that they're no longer subsidizing the disposal or the operations of the Route 28 transfer station. Additionally, Benson Brook, that folks go to as well, is reverting back to Marion, and that's going to be. We had asked whether they'd be interested in Wareham residents using that, and the answer was no. So, on top of that, the Carver-Marion-Wareham Regional Refuse Disposal District voted not to no longer operate the Route 28 transfer station. So that left us in quite a bind for our trash futures. One of the options is for the town to do nothing and just let everybody go their own way. We didn't feel that was the appropriate decision or the best decision for everyone involved. So then you looked at it and said, well, towns have curbside programs and transfer stations, and after many discussions, it looked like we're trying to do a hybrid system of having a curbside, including the transfer station. So we put the curbside out to bid, and when everything came back, we're looking at approximately $365 a year for curbside, What that means is you get a 64-gallon container for your waste, which is picked up weekly, and a larger 96-gallon container, which is for your recycling, which is picked up bi-weekly, so every other week. There is no bag cost for the curbside. I think there's some confusion there. There's no additional bag cost for your curbside. But we realize that folks, people, especially my household, thinking about that is around the holidays, you have a lot more trash that you're dealing with, right? So the probably 4 bags I think you can fit in a 64-gallon container wouldn't suit you. So, and this will lead into the transfer station. What we're doing is anybody that's on the curbside is allowed to use the transfer station. They will, at their request, get 1 sticker to the transfer station, for a vehicle registered to the household, just the normal terms. The trash that's going to the transfer station, you will need a bag. You will need to buy a bag, a town bag, which is the pay-as-you-throw. So I think I can see how that's confusing. The stuff you put out at the curb, that you don't need a town bag, but if you're bringing something to the transfer station, you do. Because the curbside cost covers all your disposal costs, including recycling. The transfer station, you have to pay for each bag. That's covering itself for the disposal. So now, if you are somebody that maybe you think that the transfer station is the better option, you don't want the curbside, there's an opt-out. So you opt out to the transfer station, which is located at Route 28. And just so everybody knows, we had to negotiate with the CMW district to be able to operate that. As I said before, they had no interest in continuing the operations. So now this is a town operation on land that we're leasing from the district. We're having to hire extra employees, and all the costs associated with that are borne by the town, so that's why there's a user charge. So you have an operational user charge of $125. That's your sticker, which is the access to the transfer station. Then you have the cost of actually disposing of the trash and disposing of recycling. So when looking at that, we tried to come up with a bag fee. So we worked with the DEP, and there's 2 sizes of bags. And for lack of a better term, I'll call them the small bag and the large bag. So the small bag is about a 13 to 15 gallon, which is the one you usually have in your kitchen. It's a good size one, but nothing crazy. And then there's a larger bag that's 30 to 33 gallon. The small bag per bag is $1.25. So what that cost covers is the bag itself, the disposal costs of your refuse, but it also includes the recycling. So there's no additional fee for recycling. In other words, we're not weighing you when you go into the transfer station. The larger bag is $2 per bag. So the transfer station is to be up and running on January 5th. We have a bag company going out to local businesses, businesses in our area, such as the hardware stores like Aubuchon, Shaw's, Stop and Shop, and some other businesses. What happens is to get those bags, you actually can go into those businesses like CVS as well, and you will buy the bags. So there's, and I actually don't have them. They come in a little box, so some of them will be 10 to a box for the smaller ones, I think if I remember. So $12.50 and 5 for the larger bags. Five come in a box, so about $10 for the box. There's no additional sales tax or anything like that. So it makes it accessible to you. You can get them. They're looking to have them in there. We know time is of the essence very soon. We're going to look and see when they will be up and running in the stores, and may need a day or two where we're selling them basically outside at town hall so people can come up. So it's been a lot of work, and I know there's a lot of concern for everybody. I think we all wish that this would be a few months ago. We would have had all the answers. But a few months ago, the district was still telling us no to leasing Route 28. So I appreciate all the hard work of everybody that worked on this, and our goal is to get as much information out as possible. Additionally, we're going to have a website, a link up and running, where you can start ordering the sticker directly online, and it'll be shipped out to you. So January 5th is right around the corner, right? So as part of that for the district, I just want to let everybody know, the current 2020 transfer station sticker, it's being honored till February 1. So it gives people time to get the sticker, whether mailing or if you want to come by the office when they come in. I think mailing's the best option, where nobody wants to stand in long lines. We've got some hardy folks who obviously came today and braved the weather, but I think we're trying to keep people away from each other still as much as possible. So that is the brief explanation of what's been going on. So thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion, Mr. Pigeon, please?
Yes, Madam Moderator. I move that the town establish a solid waste bylaw by creating Division 13, Roman numeral 13, and inserting the bylaw language in Appendix A of the administration handout.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. I just want to make it very clear what we're voting on here today is to accept a bylaw that would allow the town to move forward. And then it will be further discussed, the fees and everything that will come under, I believe, the jurisdiction of the Board of Health, Mr.?
There'll be some.
Yeah, so they'll be discussing it. So what we're voting on is the bylaw and the opportunity for the town to move forward. Is there anything further to be said on Article 22? On my left, please state your name. I probably have to speak right into the microphone. Oh, I turned it on.
Any help here?
Thought Steve would be able to do that remotely.
Slow it down.
I think it's on now. Yeah. Steve turned it on as he was walking up. Thank you,
First
Steve.
of all, I want to thank Mr. Sullivan and his crew, because I'm sure this was a hell of a lot of work to do. But I do have a couple questions. The bags. You were saying that, well, I had read that you had mentioned that these bags work like in other communities, except that they're a little stronger. Why are we going with the most expensive bags when we could go with the other bags? And I'm asking because I'm on a fixed income, I'm retired, and I'll be the first one to admit that we've had it pretty good with this transfer station that we're using right now. We've had a very good deal. So this is a big jump for me.
Yep.
$450 extra a year. So why are we going with the expensive bags, for one question?
Yeah, great question. We actually
And
got.
I'm sorry, but these speakers, it's hard to understand.
Is it easier for me to speak like this? Is that better? Well, we're getting the better bags as the same price as I call them the flat or the waffle bags. The waffle bags expand a little bit. The flats are the ones that rip a little easier, so sometimes you end up having to put 2 trash bags around them. But we ended up getting the waffle bags, the better bags, as the same price as the flat, because I tried to get the flat cheaper, and they said, we'll give you the waffle at the same price, but we can't do anything on the flat. So,
Okay. Did you mention, it was during your explanation, did you say that trash barrels were going to be given out? Those people that want curbside?
Correct.
Because
yes.
it was kind of hard to understand.
Okay. Curbside, you get a trash barrel and a recycling barrel. So your trash barrel's a 64-gallon container, and then the recycling's a 96. And trash is picked up every week. Recycling is picked up bi-weekly.
Okay.
So that's why they give you the bigger recycling container.
I also understand that there's no senior discount for the transfer station.
Correct.
But is there a senior discount for the curbside?
We've not built that in right now, and the reason being, it's our first year. We're putting all the projections that we can, but frankly, I'm being as conservative as possible because I'm really nervous that if we miss anything, and on the estimates of how much people are throwing out for trash or how much they're doing recycling, it has to be paid. There's a cost to that. So you get 1 year under your belt, you can get better actual projections. So I understand it's in order for us to do a senior discount, we have to lift up all the other ones. So we're just trying to keep it as
So you don't have anything against the elderly? My other question.
I was about to say my mother would hit me, but now she's going to hit me for calling her elderly. So.
If you get the transfer sticker and then you do curbside, those are two different stickers? Let's say I get the transfer station right now, and that's a special sticker just for the transfer station. And then I get the curbside. I know the $125 for the transfer goes towards the price of curbside.
Yes.
But is that a separate sticker? Do you get two stickers?
It would be the same exact sticker. It's the same exact sticker. So you've got, the curbside is starting up on 4/1, so on April 1. We know some people that may want to go to curbside, but they'll need some time. They need some way to get rid of it.
Right.
So we're saying go do the transfer station, and then that money, the $125, will be credited to it, but it's the same exact sticker. There's no reason to have a separate sticker because we're actually doing it by sort of the household, so there's no need for a separate.
So how do we sign up for curbside?
Great question. That's going to be through the online web portal as soon as we have the stickers in stock. And then you could also come by and I'm sure Gary's going to cringe, the DNR office that's at the 48 Marion Road. And it's the same way. The reason why I'm saying once we get that online, if you can use a computer, again, it's easy. They have your information in there. They cross-reference to the registry for your vehicles as well. So you've got both options. It's really...
Okay, I think
Okay,
my last...
we only allow 2 minutes, but you've had some very good questions, and I think you've asked questions that probably 4 other people might wanted to have asked and have answered. So those were very good questions. We appreciate them.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you said.
Usually our speakers are only allowed 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I got one more question, that's it.
Well, I think your questions are very good. I'm going to let you do the one more because I think you've asked some very good questions that probably 5 or 10 other people want to ask, and then we'll move on. So your last question, please.
My last question is, the 2020 sticker is good up until February 1. And curbside starts April 1st.
Correct.
Why doesn't the 2020 sticker go to April 1st rather than February so that we're forced to buy these bags to use the transfer station between that period?
The reason being is we need to pay for the operations and the disposal while you're using the transfer station. So in other words, I understand the timing's not ideal, but if that sticker, the April 1, that's going to give you sort of the 1 year. The curbside's basically going to run April 1 to March 30, is there 30th or 31st? I can't think of 31st. So in that meantime, anything that's being disposed of at the transfer station, we have to recoup those costs somehow.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I believe there was
Appreciate it.
someone over to my right in the back.
Hi there.
Please state your name.
Sure, Charlie Vroom. I'm at 21 Willard behind Perry's. I use both Benson Brook and the transfer station. Weekly transfer for regular trash, 3 or 4 bags a week, family of 5, they're all moved home. But I also have construction materials and questions about recycling, so I'll try and keep it brief and direct. What are we going to do for construction materials, meaning I have a project at home, the woods, the little things that they take at the transfer, really at Benson Brook, you could throw just about anything there. What are we doing for that type of trash?
That's a great question. You're not supposed to throw construction and debris material at the transfer stations. They've been allowing it.
One moment, let me clear that up, sorry. When I say construction, I mean anything such as a broken chair, that's wood, and it's per Coventa and CMAS. If it's under 3 feet, you can throw it in their transfer station dumpster, or if it's a little larger, they look at it, and at Benson Brook, go ahead and throw it in. So that's what I'm getting at. When you have something where like a bed's broken, the wood particles, a chair broke, something that's odd, you can't stuff in a bag. What do you do with it?
So you would probably bring that to like New Bedford Waste. The reason being, when CMAS was accepting all of this under the agreements, they weren't turning the trash back. So now, if you have that sort of debris, they're going to be more selective, and they're going to turn it back on us, which means we now have to pay not the $70, $80 a ton on that. We have to find another place to ship it to and pay extra. So this is just a household waste, just the regular sort of household waste and recycling. As we get this up and running, we're going to look at some of the bulky items and things such as that. Also, curbside, working with ABC. They've talked about being able to call up to them and they will pick up things at curbside, but there's going to be a cost, right? Like when you had to buy a sticker at the transfer station for like an air conditioner or something like that. But we're not going to be set up to really to be as laissez-faire as they were before, because they're holding us to a higher standard than they hold themselves.
Okay, thank you. I have 2 more quick questions. Recyclables, Benson Brook, you have a TV, a fridge, $10 charge. Same thing, go to New Bedford, or are they going to offer any services?
Yeah, we're not doing that right now. The focus has been just to get this program up and running, and I don't have a date of when we could take something like that on, but I would say it's the same thing with New Bedford, and we can start setting up for that at another time. So I'm sorry I don't have the good answer for you.
So, thank you. Last question. If you didn't notice, I work for IBEW. It's a union. You guys have union contracts,
Yep.
Coventa, et cetera. Their paperwork, right on their sign, December 31st, Wareham, go to your town hall. You can't dump here no more. But you're saying our current stickers are good through April. Okay. What language is in your current contract to protect us to make sure we can get and dump our trash through April?
I think what you're talking about, if you look at the sign, it says at the bottom, contact Wareham for continued operations. So,
all right, I didn't see that verbiage, that's why I brought it up.
Okay.
I want to make sure. So, again, we're good through April with the current stickers from 2020?
No, till February 1st.
Okay.
You'll have to get the new transfer station sticker before February 1st.
What's the website? Is it currently the Wareham website or
No,
a separate one?
they're setting it up right now, so we'll have the link. And what's happening is we're going to try and put out as much information as possible. So have it sent out in releases and on the town's website. Usually we go through, it's like when you go to the collector's site and you can go and you can pay for your tax bills and stuff. We'll have a link right on there, but it's going to be a pretty big announcement right off the bat. So.
All right. Thank you so much for your time on the floor.
Thank you. Is there anything further in the rear there? Mm-hmm.
Don Jepson, just one question. Are we voting today for the fact that there will only be a single vendor for curbside, or is that open for discussion later?
What we're voting on today is the bylaw, and for the town to move forward, and I'll defer to Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, the bylaw allows us to choose one vendor, which is how you get the cheapest price. So that's why with the transfer station, you see curbside at $365. We've been hearing from people that they're currently paying about $120 a quarter. Some may be a little cheaper, but everybody needs to understand those contracts that you have today with the private haulers are still based off of the CMAS subsidized rate, where they're only paying $25 a ton. Yep. So they're going to start paying closer to they'll actually be paying on whatever their own rate is, because they won't be paying on the town's rate of $78. So your private haulers would be going up beyond what you're paying today.
Well, I'm talking after April 1st. Will there be just one vendor that the town has negotiated with, or will
I'm sorry, Donna. On April 1st. There would be, if this passed with and the Board of Health and everything, on April 1, there'd be one residential hauler.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Is there going to be one vendor only, or is that for discussion later on? Are we voting for one vendor today?
You're not voting for a specific vendor, but this bylaw establishes where there would be one vendor for the community on April 1 for residential. Commercial is whatever, we're not impacting commercial. So it'd be for residential.
Okay. Again, my only question is, are we voting for one vendor only today?
Don, I've said it 3 times now.
Is that a yes or no?
One vendor, Don.
Yeah.
Only one vendor?
One vendor.
Okay.
Is there anything further to be said in the rear to my left? I've been a little lenient with the 2-minute discussion time, but I think there's been some very good questions, so I've just let them go over, but go ahead.
Joella Cruz, I just have a question. We already
Name, please?
Joella Cruz. We already have curbside and recycle. So can we keep that service, or will it be mandatory that we let that service go and pick up the one that the town is going to offer?
Yeah, on April 1, that's what we were just talking about. You would have only one available hauler, because there'd be only one licensed hauler to do residential in the town.
So what I have now, they can't come into town?
Well, I don't know who they are. It might be who's ever won the bid on it. So.
Okay.
I think there was someone over here.
Yeah, Roger Long from Quarry Drive. I will admit it's very hard to hear these things. I do wonder myself, we're going to have one vendor. Have you negotiated with other vendors?
We sent out an RFP, so that's a request for proposals, and we had one come in significantly lower than all the rest.
And
we have not executed that agreement yet, because we can't execute an agreement unless we know that the town allows us to do that.
Okay, because United Material Management will, in 1 quarter, will pick up a large piece of furniture and get rid of it for you for nothing. Okay. And their prices are very good, because I've been looking for it in our community. So I'm wondering about that. The other thing I just want to mention, that if you use 3 small trash bags every week at $1.25 times 52, you're up to almost $360. Is the $360 hard and fast? I mean, is that what it's going to cost?
Yeah, for the curbside, that's what it costs, because we have to pay for the private hauler, they're
Right, I understand.
purchasing everything. So.
Right, I understand. I'm just saying, why bother to go to the transfer station for $25 a year?
I agree, actually. It's going to be, you're going to have to determine your level, what makes the most sense, and, you know, what a convenience cost it is for you to bring it out the end of your driveway or take
Okay.
it down to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything further? Do you have a question? Yeah, over here.
Jessica Ellis, Onset. I appreciate everyone taking the time. I know that the questions really are less about what we're voting on and more about the long-ranging implications. But for those of us with larger families, for example, I have curbside now, and I have 2 96 recycling and a 96 trash. They're not always full, but that's what we get. Are there going to be options for larger families or people who just, we have people who are chronically ill, and so that generates a lot of device and boxes and packaging and things like that. So what are those options going to be, if any?
We are working on trying to price out with them if somebody wanted a second container, because my interpretation is you're already driving by, right? You're already coming by. But there's a cost to that container and the actual disposal. So we are thinking about that and trying to figure out how to make that work. And I know we've only got till April to do that, but we're going through that right now.
So I know I currently use the vendor that you're looking at, and they did not charge for additional recycling. They do charge for additional trash bins. So just a point for the negotiations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have strayed a little bit from the warrant article, actually, but I think it was a good discussion to have, and that's why I've allowed it to go on. I think we all have to understand that the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator still have some things to iron out, and I know that they will be forthcoming with information going forward. But the most important thing is the vote today on the article. So is there anything further to be said? Are you a voter, or are you sitting in the non-voting? I am not a voter. Okay, we generally don't allow non-voters to speak. No, what we're voting on today is just to accept the bylaw for our town. I think I could answer that. Is there anything further to be said? Seeing no one else standing behind a pole or anything that I missed? This requires a majority vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you very much. This was a very difficult decision to actually have a town meeting. Because of where we are with COVID, we were forced into it by the Department of Revenue. We appreciate that you've come out. We appreciate your interest in being willing to come today, especially with the weather. Can you imagine if we had it on the football field as planned? So I also want to thank the VFW for allowing us to be here. I want to thank Municipal Maintenance for helping set up yesterday and today, and for all the helpers that helped me try to organize this. There were a lot of sleepless nights as to how do we do this and do this safely. So now that we're over and have voted on all the articles, I will accept a motion to dissolve this meeting.
So moved.
This motion is dissolved and recessed. Again, thank you very much for coming, and sorry the weather wasn't better.
Thank you, everyone.
Vote to dissolve the meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Stay dry. Thank you, Rich.